We're sitting here in the beautiful Mills Conference Center, and I'm with our city manager, Cindy Cameron Ogle, and we're going to bring you up to date with what's been going on in Gatlinburg. Cindy, good to be with you.
Good to be with you, sir. It's great to be here today, even though it's a really rainy, yucky day outside. It's beautiful in here.
Well, it's always good to be here by the fire.
Right.
But I get around quite a bit. I'll be at like basketball games, or I'll be out at our local grocery store. And whenever you run into people, usually their first question is, what's going on with the sports complex? So would you give us like an update on Rocky Top Sports World? What's going on?
I will do that as long as you promise to help me as I do this, because
Okay.
of course you have been instrumentally involved in the project from the beginning and continue to be so, and for that we're very grateful. But the good news about the project is that we are truly settled upon what we're doing. And as you well know, it has been a evolutionary process, I guess would be a fair way to put it. But as of back in, I guess in October, we did come up with, okay, this is the guaranteed maximum price on the project with the contractor, who is Blaine Construction Company, and that guaranteed maximum price, along with the soft fees, which includes, of course, the architectural and engineering and those kind of fees, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $22 million. And so the project is moving very quickly now, and I'm sure folks have seen that. I mean, I've had so many people say to me, I cannot believe that building is going up as quickly as it is. So the status is that we have the guaranteed maximum price. We have things moving extremely well, even with the weather, and even the weather back. We're surprised, aren't we, that they are as far along as they are with all the rain that occurred.
Right. We had that early rain in the early summer, late spring, and because of the type of soil that they have there, the shaly type soil, it didn't put them back that far. And as we know, and I know you're very familiar with looking back at when you did the addition to the conference center and to the convention center here, that's a big project, over 80 acres. We've got 7 fields, 6 artificial turf, 1 natural. The big building, and that was so neat too, that they took down that one wall so you can really see the project and how big it is. But that's going to have 6 basketball courts in it. And then if you count the courts at the high school, that's another 2. Then the community center's another 2. So that would give us 10 courts total in one location, which is so important for the AAU, for the volleyball, the basketball, cheerleading, wrestling, all that stuff. So it's an exciting project, but it's a big project.
Yes,
I think that
really
needs to be stressed.
And I think that is, we had already done a lot of due diligence before the project actually got started, but once we got into the project, then we had to really wrestle, so to speak. That's kind of what also the kind of groups we want to get in, or wrestling groups certainly. But we had to work our way through what made the most sense with the lay of the land. There were additional costs experienced, and we went over this in a workshop back in the fall, and hopefully some people watched that and know about that. But we had a lot of additional storm drainage costs that were not anticipated, and just moving of the dirt, and we all knew there was going to be a lot of dirt moved, but it's those kind. It's like when you very simplistic analogy, when you remodel a home, and we were just discussing before we got started. You're kind of an expert at that, but you know from having remodeled homes that you don't really know what you're getting into until you tear that wall down, until you tear up the carpeting off of the floor or whatever, and so again, the really great positive thing is that for the last actually 2 or 3 months, we have really been able to settle down and focus on a guaranteed maximum price and move forward without question about just exactly what we're doing. And I don't mean to imply in any way that, if I'm out there watching this, I might think, well, why didn't you know what you were doing before you got started? Again, it was the It was the aspect of putting together the pieces to this puzzle.
Right.
Even unlike this building, you've got the footprint of this building, you have the plans drawn, and it's pretty definite where you're headed and what you're doing. In the case of where we're putting together the Gatlinburg-Pittman High School campus facilities, i.e. the turfing of those fields, the Mills Park facilities, and then building the building and moving all the dirt to get that all accomplished. What was a bit more complicated process than just a normal going out and building a project.
Absolutely. And, a couple things, it was really great how things fell into place, like acquiring the contiguous property around it.
Right.
Really, that had to happen. And with the changing the entrance, you've got a new entrance that, comes into the high school. The city of Gatlinburg collaborating with the county. I think a lot of people are just amazed how that can happen.
And I appreciate you're making that comment. That was critical. And I'll restate this. I think, sometimes you assume everybody remembers all these things, but the two reasons that the city could even consider a project of this magnitude is the paying off of the debt of this facility that we're sitting in now, that is 2018, and then the county's 30% participation, which basically is bridging the gap until this debt is paid in 2018. So without the county's participation, without the seeing shortly down the road the fact that we're going to pay off this debt, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this today. And that would be a sad thing. Right. That would be a bad thing for town, because this really is an economic development project. Now, granted, we want and expect and anticipate the local athletic programs, school programs to certainly be able to use these wonderful facilities. Sure. But we know, and I think most of the business people certainly embraced it because they know it's an economic development piece of what all we have to be about.
Ultimately, heads and beds.
Correct.
And like the convention center, but a different application.
Exactly. And there was an article in the paper recently where the UT professor, I think his name is Dr. Steve Morse, I think that's correct, and he quoted a whole section, or there was a whole section about him quoted in the newspaper where he talked about Rocky Top Sports World and what a dynamic change that was going to be to the whole county. It wasn't just about Gatlinburg, right. And this project isn't just about Gatlinburg. It is about the whole county, which is why Sevier County agreed to do what they are doing with their 30% participation. But bringing in a whole new, different group into the whole county,
right.
As it relates to all of these AAU things
sports
that you know.
Tourism,
right,
and,
right.
How it's grown all over the country, and I think it's very important too that the participation and the interest the city had, that we funded Legion Field and Hammond Stadium.
That's
and
right.
Also the practice field. And this year, for the first time ever, for the Thanksgiving Bowl, there's more properties that are willing to take these players because they'll be playing on artificial turf.
Great point. I hadn't even thought about that.
And it's not going to be a bunch of muddy kids coming
right,
in, but
right.
It's the pride of the community. I see that people are excited about it. And this year, because they were working on Parton Field down in Mills Park,
right.
So all the junior league got to play up on Legion Field.
Wow.
And they felt they were playing in the NFL stadium. These little kids, I mean, they loved it. And I went to one of the games, and it looked like a Friday night game. There were that many people there. So there's a lot of enthusiasm. And we do have SFA,
right.
Sports Facility Advisory Group out of Tampa. They're strongly involved. And then we have our CEO, Steve Doherty, and Laura Moore, who are both just full of excitement. And so I think it's going to be a great thing for the area, for the whole county. I'm glad you
Yes.
pointed that out.
Yes.
Not just Gatlinburg, but
Yes.
for the entire county.
And I don't know if Kevin's had an opportunity to interview Steve or Lori. You have, you're nodding your head that you have, because I think that's an important,
Yep.
important part of the discussion too, is that the city hired, in the county, hired SFA to first do an economic analysis of would this work, how would it work, what would the impacts be? And again, that was part of that due diligence back a year ago, fall, and specific, well, I guess a year ago,
Yeah.
this summer
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's gone
so-
fast.
Yeah.
Now you've
yes,
got
it
this
really-
big building coming
yeah.
out and these fields being.
Right, right. But you know, that we knew that we needed to get some expertise in here, because again, sports tourism is the new kid on the block, not just for Gatlinburg, but again for the county as a whole. And to remind everyone, the impetus for us to get to this point was actually a county-wide study that Sevier County Economic Development Council.
That's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful. That they came to the cities and the county and a couple of the major attractions and asked for us to participate in funding a study related to what was envisioned at that time to be a countywide facility to be built out in the Red Bank area, out in the eastern part of the county. And we participated. And out of that study, you know, it was a real eye-opener for me, and I think for you, I think probably more so for me because you were familiar with the AAU activities due to your children. But, you know, it was just such an eye-opener as to, wow, wouldn't this be great if it happened? And then, of course, the county deal fell through for differing reasons, but basically the property couldn't be put together there. And from there is when, you know, we really began the discussion about wouldn't it be great if we could do something here, and we struggled to try to find a place to do it. And that's the other thing that is so, I think, significant about this project, is that due to our mountainous nature, due to the fact that we don't have the land that our sister cities have, that it's a challenge to redevelop here, much less develop something. And so it was that unique opportunity to put together these other public facilities, and like you said, the opportunity to purchase the 2 parcels that we did purchase contiguous to the property. And it was just that really, really unique opportunity that I think we've been blessed with. You know, we're blessed, God has blessed us so with these mountains, but also that is what causes the challenge to economic development. But I think we've really been blessed with this. And so things are going well.
And one thing that with this whole campus, when it's all finished, I can just try to visualize how beautiful it's going to be. And you've got the Boys and Girls Club there, you've got the community center there. And if you're playing soccer on some of these fields, the views are just breathtaking.
They are. When you come down the new Prophet Road, which, by the way, we know, and I you know, I don't want to date this because Kevin likes to run this for about, 6 months or
At
something.
least.
So, and
Get
he's
some
nodding.
miles out of it.
He's given us the affirmative nod on that. But the road, you know, the final paving is not done.
Right.
Actually, it was hopeful to be done. It was planned, not hopeful. It was planned to be done today. And you see that it's not going to be done today or tomorrow, or so you know, as soon as weather is permitting, the final paving will be done on the new Prophet Road. But as you come down, I had to get that in because I want to say, as you come down Prophet Road, I mean, that view is just,
It's amazing.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it is just absolutely amazing. So, again, I think that, you know, it's good news. I mean, there's still challenges to get
Sure.
through, and but we had a meeting. We're having project meetings every couple of weeks, and Blaine reported yesterday that they are still good to go for an opening July 1st, 2014.
One thing that I'm really excited about too is the enthusiasm from the community and the
Right.
support from the community. because I haven't heard anyone negative yet. And I know there's usually some out there somewhere, but
He's not soliciting that, by the way. That's
not at all, not at all.
Yeah.
But we have the first artificial turf football field in the area, in the county. And we are going to get a new jumbotron that will be above the scoreboard. And I'm not going to mention the people that are funding it, but I had to make 3 phone calls, and all 3 people said yes to the tune of about $20,000 each. So I think that is extremely exciting. And even one of the participants said, I don't even want my name on it, I just want to be anonymous. So there's that much support, and I think it's a great opportunity that we'll just watch it and see it mature, and it's going to be a good thing, just like this convention center.
Right.
It's such a good thing for the community. A lot of people don't realize, but it's a good part of our whole picture.
It is, and I was just going to say, I think we, and I know we really try not to, but we take the mountains for granted. We take the Great Smoky Mountains National Park for granted. And we take this building for granted.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that this building represents somewhere in the neighborhood of 20% of the Gatlinburg economy.
Big number.
And, that may not sound like a lot if you're divvying it up, but if you don't have the 20%, then you're going to be hurting.
Yeah.
So this center has served this city very well, and I think that, as you are alluding to, the same thing's going to happen with this Rocky Top Sports World project. Speaking of watching it develop, I think literally that Kevin I'm getting you in this program, aren't I, Kevin? Matt, you want to take over the camera and let Kevin come over here? But are you not doing you're actually filming things as it goes. So we're really going to have some great, as usual, great Kevin Tierney work in this regard with him doing that. So that's exciting.
And we'll go on to the next topic here in a second, but
well, this is number 1 on the list. So
I think what's so intriguing is how fast the big building has gone up, because the steel goes up fast, and then the walls are what they consider stand-up concrete, which is put into place by a crane, and then this box is there, and then they get in the dry. And then everything's still on schedule to be finished of June of 2014.
July 1.
July 1.
Yeah, right. It's what the date is. As of yesterday, that's what the date is, and they feel pretty confident about that. I would want to comment that talking about the wall coming down and that opening up the vista of all this. The back and the side of the indoor complex, which is the 88,000 square foot complex with the 6 basketball floors and the 12 volley that can then be converted into 12, is that right?
Yes.
Volleyball courts. That is what that is going to be. However, we have a landscape plan to come in to landscape along the back of the building, because
berm
it and landscape it, because that is the back of the building. The front of the building is what is facing toward the community center and the library, and in the front of the building we'll have, as you know, and I guess we've maybe even shown, stone and wood. It will have some pizzazz to it. I want folks to know that, because you're not going to know that. You're just going to be driving by this big block building and thinking, "Wow, what are we doing here?" So that ultimately it's a very nice front, and maybe Kevin will pop in a picture of that at this stage in the game, as to the timber and the wood and the things that we said we the cities and county said we want that as part of this, because it's too important a project. It's going to be. That building's going to, we hope, be there for a long, long time to come, and we want it to be a good-looking building.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if people, citizens or our tourist friends haven't seen the new baseball field that was moved for the high school, it's gorgeous. I mean, it's amazing. It's just absolutely beautiful. So the whole campus is going to be just excellent.
It's going to be, not that it isn't already, but it's going to be a class A campus
Yeah.
or Division A or whatever the best deal is, that's what it's certainly going to be out there, so.
Okay, now our second.